Welcome everyone. I'm Hal Minigan. I'm going to show you how to use our new image storage system called Qpath. It's a little bit technical, but hopefully we'll keep it tolerable. If at any point you are unable to feel your legs, hang up and dial 911. This presentation is designed to help you understand how to use the ultrasound machines in conjunction with Qpath, which replaces our current system of printed images, redundant paper, and the ResTrack database. Think of Qpath as PACS for the ED, but it's really a lot more than that. Paperless, baby. Work smarter, not harder. You are smarter, aren't you? Here's the view from 30,000 feet. Images are saved and transmitted wirelessly from the ultrasound machine to the hospital wireless network. From here, they are encrypted and sent outside the hospital data center to the Qpath server, which is hosted by the IU School of Medicine. You can log into the Qpath web app from an internet-connected computer via the IU VPN. This allows us to review your studies and also allows you to view your own images and complete worksheets for your studies if you didn't complete them on the ultrasound machine. This slide is about the workflow. The first step in beginning a study is to enter the demographic information for the patient, the sonographer, and the supervising faculty in the new patient screen. The basics of beginning a study by entering this demographic information are covered in the Zonare Machine Controls tutorial on the IUEM on-course site. The point to take home here is that when we are paperless, you have to enter this information through the machine because there's no other way, and unidentified studies cannot be reviewed. Saving images isn't really different though. After you have completed imaging, you can call up the worksheets for your exams using the Report button, or you can fill them out on the Qpath website. We'll go over all of this in more detail. Let's review how to enter study demographics so you can get started correctly. There are a few minor changes to make the machine talk to Qpath properly. For full details of the knobology, refer to the Zonare Machine Controls tutorial on the IUEM on-course site. To start a study, press the New Patient button on the upper left of the keyboard. This brings up the demographics page. We'll look at that next. After entering demographics, select Exit or press the Freeze button to start live imaging. Remember to press the End Exam button on the mid-upper row of the keyboard to save your study when you finish. Here's the study demographics entry screen. The 4 fields that are highlighted in yellow are required. Use the Tab button to advance to the next screen, or trackball the cursor and use the Set button to select the field. You'll notice that the sonographer name entered in the operator field is your IU username. Likewise, the referring physician field is where you enter the IU username of the supervising faculty, if a faculty is involved in supervising your imaging. We will have laminated cards available with faculty IU usernames for your reference. To review, you should select a transducer and an exam type using the buttons as indicated. This lets the machine know what worksheets to load for you to complete. A little bit of semantics, but a significantly important distinction. When you enter demographics, you are naming or specifying a study. Within that study, you can have several exam types based on the intended use of your imaging, that is, cardiac, aorta, fast, and so forth. When you end the exam by pressing the End Exam key, Qpath will split your study into the individual exams for review and record keeping. Pretty slick. Just to refresh our memories, to save a still, press Freeze and then the Store 1 button. To record a video clip, press the Store 1 button while imaging live. To understand this concept of a study versus exams maybe a little more in detail, let's imagine that we are scanning and we perform a cardiac exam first, then a fast exam, then an aorta exam. After we finish imaging this patient, we will press End Exam to close the study. Keep this in mind. When we look at the Qpath website, we can see what this looks like. This is what an image of each of the three exams, cardiac, fast, and aorta, would look like on the ultrasound machine. After we're finished imaging, we can complete the worksheets for each exam on the machine. To call up the worksheets that have been loaded in the background, press the Report key on the left side of the console. When you press the Report button, the worksheet comes up. This worksheet is for the fast exam. It can be completed by using the trackball and the Set button to click on radio buttons and checkboxes. We'll look at free text boxes in the next slide. To navigate through the pages of a worksheet, use the left and right arrows on the lower right. If you've performed more than one type of exam, you can navigate between worksheets by using the navigation box in the lower middle part of the screen. In this example, we're looking at the eFast worksheet. This slide shows the next three pages of the eFast worksheet. Page 4 has an area where you can free text your findings if you need to make comments. Page 5 also has a free text area for your interpretation. The last page of every worksheet has this question. The intent is simply to get you to explicitly think about how you feel about the adequacy of your imaging. If you're confident your images are adequate for decision making, choose 4 or 5. If you're not sure what you're looking at, or are unsure if you got the right images, choose 3. If you're pretty sure your images aren't adequate, choose 1 or 2. Don't feel like you have to choose a high number to get credit. This question is simply a prompt to help you pause and reflect on your confidence in the images. When you perform a different ultrasound exam, select a different exam type. This cues the machine to load a different worksheet that matches the new exam you're selecting. This will be a little clearer when you're in front of a machine and when we look at the Qpath web interface. The Qpath internet address is listed here. It's also easy to link to it from the IUEM homepage or from the IUEM ultrasound page on OnCourse. Now that we understand how to use the ultrasound machine with Qpath and how to use the worksheets on the machine, let's look at how the Qpath web interface works. Let's look at how to connect to the Qpath server. We'll walk through the website and take a look at the features and see how to use it. This is where you view your images and where you can fill out a worksheet if you didn't do it on the ultrasound machine. To begin, open an internet browser window. Then connect to the IUVPN. After the VPN connects, go to the Qpath website. I have it bookmarked, but it can be linked from the IUEM ultrasound site on OnCourse or from the IUEM homepage. When the login dialog box comes up, enter your username and password. Your username is your IU username, and the default password is Qpath123. I'm logging in with the username we used in the previous examples so we can see the exams we performed in the study that we did. You can change your password by clicking on the box with your name in it in the upper right, and when the menu pulls down, select the option to change your password. Now we are in Qpath. The primary area of interest for you will be the Exams tab along the top. This is where you view your images and can complete worksheets. The default menu item under the Exams tab is List, and the default date is today. If you click on the word Today under the Exam Date column, it pulls down and you can select whatever date range you want. Often this week is a good choice, but you can select all if you need to. In this example, the exams that we're interested in were performed a few days ago, so we will select last week to get a manageable selection. We can see 6 exams. As we discussed earlier, we performed 3 different exams in one study on one patient. These are those 3 exams. Qpath has separated them into the individual studies because we selected 3 different exam types. This is a nice feature because Qpath assigns a different worksheet to each individual study, so you can fill out the appropriate worksheet for the exam you selected. You just have to remember to change the exam type on the ultrasound machine so that the machine knows to load the appropriate worksheet. Below these 3 exams, we see 3 exams labeled Test Cardiac. You notice that my name is in the attending column. When you put the IU faculty username in the referring physician field, it codes to the faculty name in the attending field. Before we look at the individual exams, let's look at some features of this view. Qpath is basically a database. Qpath maps the information you entered when you create an exam to fields in its database. Moving left to right along the top row of columns, patient MRN maps to the patient ID column. Patient last name maps to the patient name column. The entry under the exam type comes from your selection of exam type on the ultrasound machine. Exam type is assigned based on the exam type you select while you're scanning. Operator is mapped to your name from your IU username entered in the new patient field. If you don't use your IU username, Qpath assigns NA to this field, so it's really important to get this entered correctly. Just to the right of Operator, you see the column labeled Attending. As we just discussed, this is mapped from the IU username of the faculty that you entered in the referring physician field on the demographics page. We'll have laminated cards available with the faculty IU usernames available for your reference. If you remember in our example, we started a study, performed a cardiac, a fast, and an aorta exam, then closed the study. To view the first exam, click on the date under the Exam Date column. This opens the exam. Along the top of the window, you see the red highlight moved from List to Images and Worksheets. This gives you a window to look at the images with thumbnails below and a slider to the right to let you view additional thumbnails. You can resize the windows by grabbing the edge of the window and sliding left or right. To the right of the image window, you see the worksheet for the exam. In this case, it's a cardiac exam. On the top menu, you can also select images instead of images and worksheets. When you do this, you get a larger preview window with the worksheet hidden and thumbnails along the right, and again a slider to view all your thumbnails. Let's go back to the Images and Worksheets view. We'll note that the first 2 images are screenshots of the patient entry field. To select the third image, just click on it. It's a cardiac still in parasternal long orientation. If we click on the fourth, it's a video clip. And you can tell this because it has a progress bar or timeline indicator along the bottom. When you click on it, the video plays and continues to play continuously. Now let's take a look at the worksheet for the aorta exam. We'll go back to the list by clicking on List in the menu across the top and then selecting the aorta exam. So we click List, come down to the third exam here, which is the aorta exam. Click here and it opens the aorta exam. There are basic sections to each worksheet that you will recognize. Exam information, indication, views, findings, interpretation, and confirmatory study. You can move through the worksheet areas by using the scroll bar on the right. Let's resize this window so we can see more of the worksheet. And go back up to the top. There are radio buttons and checkboxes that can be filled out for many of the sections. Some sections have an additional free text area where you can keyboard in additional findings, modifiers, or other information that the reviewers or your faculty need to know. At the end of every worksheet, there's a question that asks you how confident you are that your images are adequate for interpretation. That's this last question right here. This is included to prompt you to think critically about your images. It's not designed to deny credit for credentialing if you don't have perfect images. Because emergency ultrasound involves immediate interpretation at the point of care, it is key that you are aware of how much information you have acquired and ask yourself how much you can base your management on the images you have obtained. Just pick a rating based on the 1 to 5 scale that corresponds to your confidence in your images for decision making. After you have completed filling out the worksheet, submit the exam for QA by clicking on the Submit for QA box in the middle part of the top menu bar. I hope this brief tutorial has helped you understand how to use the Qpath website to review your images and to fill out worksheets. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact me or any of the ultrasound faculty. We'll be happy to help you.